Welcome to the first edition of E NCA Drive, your one-stop motoring show where we talk and drive everything cars. I'm Nqobile Madlala, and along with my fellow petrol heads Dasen Thathiah and Justin Ford, we'll take you on the ride of your life. First off the mark is a trip down memory lane. Dasen Thathiah caught up with classic car restorer and enthusiast Tony Outar as they rewind back to a time where bigger and slower ruled the road.
I begged, I pleaded, I may have even cried a little bit. But no matter what I did, I couldn't hold onto those 90s classics you may have seen me driving the last time around. But I'm back on these streets again, looking for some good motoring content for you. Hey, Tony! How's it? What's happening?
Where you been?
Oh, yeah. How's things, Tony?
Okay, man. Where you up to?
Tony Outar is a familiar face in Durban car circles, a real classic man.
Tony, so this is your Pontiac?
Hey, this is my 1940 Pontiac, yes. My joy and pride.
You know, I've only seen the Facebook pictures.
I used to live in the farm called Malagazi down in Durban, south of Durban. And I used to make wire cars out of wire, and I used to sell them to the neighborhood for 25 cents, 50 cents each. And I used to make a bus, I used to make a truck, I used to make a bakkie, I used to make a car. And that's where my passion has come from.
By his 20s, Tony was selling real vehicles, and he established a successful used car dealership in 1982. This 1940 Pontiac sedan marked the start of his personal collection in the early 2000s.
Look, as General Motors, I'm a Chevy guy, you know, I love my Chevys. And this opportunity came. This car was lying in Rustenburg, and a friend of mine told me about it. And I contacted the owner, negotiated with him, and I brought it down from Rustenburg.
It took 2 years to build this car. That meant ripping it apart and painstakingly putting it back together. Many rust buckets have been given a new lease on life by Tony's hand since then. And his son Ashi is out here enjoying his most recent creation.
This is my son.
Ashi, nice to meet you.
You have to meet the cars?
Yeah, well, I'm sure you didn't mind
No, not at all.
driving this car here.
Let's respect our elders. So more on this lowrider just now.
I love to drive the Pontiac. You know, I get a lot of head turning there when I drive it on the road. I do a lot of weddings, a lot of parties. The guys want me to, come out and help them.
It's easy to see why. The Pontiac is powered by this 6-cylinder motor, coupled with a modest 3-speed manual gearbox. A custom stainless steel exhaust system provides an unexpectedly throaty soundtrack. While the Pontiac exudes elegance, the Impala is unapologetically brash.
A friend of mine, Ravi Chetty from Johannesburg, he found this car for me. And when we found it, it was stripped. Lots and lots of parts were missing. I think these guys probably failed to do the car because the whole boot section, they couldn't find a boot section for this car. And I was lucky enough, I found in Johannesburg, in Moleto, a friend of mine told me that there was a car that turned over. It was a 4-door although, but the boot section was identical. and I drove all the way there with my trailer. I cut in the section and I brought it, and I got my welder, and we got the car going.
Tony's knowledge of building cars goes back about 5 decades, to a time when, as a young child, he'd help his dad and a local panel beater work on restoration projects. That's also where he learned about attention to detail.
All the other parts were brand new that I ordered from the USA. I converted the front suspension, not suspension, sorry, the brake system, which I put in disc. The steering, took off the original steering box, put in the power steering on it, and put in air rides. And every nut, every bolt, every rubber has been replaced on the vehicle.
The Chevy Impala was adopted by the 90s American rap culture, and in some ways, this car pays homage to that.
I made it more low-rider look. As you can see, it's I've fitted in the air rides myself, so you could see it goes right down to the ground nearly. And the other thing was the rims. You know, it's not the original wheels. I put in the wire wheels on it, which suits the car, and that's it. But otherwise, I tried to keep the car original as possible.
The suspension is not the only thing Tony drops on this car, but getting the roof off takes some patience and a few extra hands. It's all worth it though, since we're about to swap cars with his son.
Yeah. Oh, that's better, isn't it?
When it seems like the shoot is done, the classic man does something out of character. He shifts over.
Just burn it a bit.
Hey, that's when you feel. That's when you feel that power.
The weather gods are threatening to rain on our parade, so I hand the Impala back to Tony to get us to shelter as soon as possible. Tony, thanks for today taking us out.
You're welcome. But just before you go, I just want to show you something.
What's that, Tony?
Okay, come through. When are you going to come and do all these?
Tony, I'm going to take that as an invitation. Remember,
you're
you
welcome.
said it on camera.
From the big and slow to the loud and fast, I had the drive of my life when I took to the wheel of one of only 6 Maserati Levante SUVs in South Africa. I almost didn't give back the keys. All the way from Italy with an engine assembled by Ferrari. This is a Maserati SUV. It isn't exactly a sports car, but its 8-cylinder engine packs a punch. You feel tons of power, torque, and performance. How do I say it?
Trofeo.
Trofeo.
Yes.
Right, see, I see it. Pizzazz. Trofeo. The Levante Trofeo reached our shores in April 2020, but there was no official launch and test drives due to the COVID-19 lockdown. Dealer Principal Nagesh Naidu says Maserati has upped its game with this model.
The Levante range has been around for almost 4 years now. It was launched in 2017 in South Africa. We initially launched with the diesel engine, and then a year later our V6 petrol engine came out. But being Maserati, everybody expected a V8 in the Maserati. And thanks to the powerful engine that's in the engine compartment, which is a Ferrari developed engine, we were able to bring out the Trofeo, which sets it a little bit apart from the, we're going to go right over here, from the other competitors and what we have to offer.
This luxurious all-wheel drive SUV has a Piano Fiore Italian leather interior with red stitching and unique Trofeo carbon fiber trim, but there are many other selling points.
One of the nice features is the panoramic sunroof. Being in Africa, we have a lot of sun for most of the year, so the panoramic sunroof opens right through to the back for the kids at the back to enjoy some sun as well. You know, the motor industry has evolved over the years, so you know the nice features like active lane keeping assist, active blind spot assist, collision warning, active cruise control. These are all the features that are in the vehicle.
The Trofeo has about 5 modes: normal, the ice mode, off-road, sports mode, and the Corsa mode. So if you're into burning a bit of rubber to test that 0 to 100 kilometer in a little over 3 seconds, it's best you use it on Corsa mode, and that's where you will hear this. It's almost as if the Maserati twin turbo noise touch climbs out of the exhaust.
You've driven it in normal mode, so I'm going to give you the opportunity just to briefly experience it in sport mode.
Right.
So that's in sport. So you hear the exhaust.
Can you hear that, Sviso?
Did you feel the accelerator?
Let's see.
The accelerator becomes a lot more responsive.
Yes, it is.
Can you feel that?
Yes, I can feel that. It's actually also feeling a bit more stronger.
Yes.
Almost as if it's masculine. Even the way the response on the steering wheel, it's quite stronger. It's more powerful than when I was in the normal mode. The unique Maserati Corsa mode is used to unleash the beast. Top speed is over 300 kilometers per hour. But the brand is even more proud to sell exclusivity, something Nagesh says he has experienced for himself. So tell me, when you first drove the first Maserati, the first time, how old were you?
Well, it's 40.
Did
I give my age? Did I give my age?
All right, but how did it feel? What
It's-
did you think in your head?
You know, in the area I grew up, there were a few Maseratis, and you know, you always hear them and you always see them, and you always see older gentlemen driving the vehicles. And I think when we were growing up, there was a very limited range that was on offer. And I think when I was given the opportunity 8 years ago to join Maserati, I didn't actually think twice about it.
Levante Trofeo oozes luxury, and at a starting price of 3.7 million, it's clearly in a league of its own. And finally, Justin Ford recently caught up with Africa's own fluid engineer, Stephanie Travers, who has been one of the people at the heart of Lewis Hamilton's success on track.
Zimbabwean-born Stephanie Travers is living her dream as a fluid engineer in motorsport, in Formula One to be exact.
Stephanie Travers was 10 years old when her family left for the United Kingdom. She always knew she wanted to be an engineer, but only narrowed it down to chemical engineering while at university.
I decided to go that route as opposed to other types of engineering after attending various university open days and after reading up and researching about the different career prospects from that degree.
In 2018, she joined thousands of hopefuls for the position of a trackside fluid engineer for the world's top Formula One team, Mercedes-AMG Petronas.
The word global deterred me. It was a global search. It deterred me at first, but my parents spoke to me and said, this is something that you've dreamt of from such a young age. Just focus on yourself and focus on your journey and go for it. The sky is the limit.
Engine oil, fuel and gearbox oil are vital components of a Formula One car. Her work is not only limited to motorsport, she also assists in the formulation of road car fluids.
My job is to ensure that the fluids that we provide are complying with the FIA regulations, and it's also to monitor the reliability of the engine and gearbox throughout an entire race weekend. Excessive wear is what I'm looking for, because wear is normal, but I'm looking for excessive wear.
Her love for motorsport started at a young age. She attributes this to her family.
My parents are huge Formula One fans, and my dad generally loved cars, so there was always an interest that was sparked from a young age. Watching Formula One races on a race weekend became a family activity. We would sit and watch them and discuss the races. So the interest has always been there, and in traveling to races, it just increased. So I knew ultimately that one day I would hope to work within Formula One.
Formula One is a male-dominated environment, but for Travers, it has been a positive experience.
I was embraced with open arms by Petronas and the Mercedes-AMG Petronas family, which made my transition into the sport very smooth. And I'm grateful to have an environment where I'm able to thrive and expand on all my knowledge and learnings from university. So it's an environment that I'm still learning. There's so much more to learn, and I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Travers and her work were cast onto the world stage when she accepted the Constructors' Trophy at the Styrian Grand Prix.
I wasn't expecting it at all. It was a complete surprise. The team actually asked me to go into the podium after the race, so it was last minute. It was such a momentous occasion for myself, my family and friends, and it's still difficult for me to put it into words, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
One of only a few women in the sport, Travers wants to be an inspiration to young girls.
So I would encourage anyone wanting to pursue a STEM career to do it and not let that deter them. Motorsport is incredibly competitive, and there's a huge amount of competition to get into it. So the competition is fierce, but I'm lucky enough to be living my dream. And I believe that if you work hard and are passionate, anything is possible.
Formula One is taking a clear stand against discrimination in all its forms with their We Race as One campaign.
I think it's very important that Formula One and the teams are using their platforms to make a clear statement against racism and discrimination of all forms, and to support movement for improving diversity within the sport.
Travers still has many plans for the future, including studying towards an MBA. But for now, she feels she still has so much more to accomplish in the world of F1.
This year has taught me anything it is to just live in the moment and be grateful for what I'm doing. I just love my job, and that is where my energy and passion is going at the moment.
Thank you for watching E NCA Drive. Catch us again soon, where we take you on another joyride.